If your role keeps expanding but you remain unchanged, something isn't right, and deep down you feel it. Most people spend years pushing harder at work than they ever do improving themselves. They give all their hours, all their effort, all their attention, and when the day finishes, they feel hollow, not because they didn't work hard, but because they didn't evolve. You wake up, reply to messages, meet deadlines, satisfy others, and somewhere in that cycle, you slowly disappear. This isn't about leaving your job, it's about not abandoning yourself. You deserve to feel progress in your life, not only in your salary, but in your confidence, your calm, your habits, in your mindset. This chapter will help you bring the focus back to where it belongs, on you. Because the truth is simple, if you stop growing, nothing else you're pursuing will ever feel like enough. Chapter 1. Choose growth. When fear tells you to stop. Fear has a way of holding good people back. It causes talented people to question their value. It persuades dreamers that what they want is too distant to reach. You recognize that voice, the one that asks, what if you fail? What if people mock you? What if you lose what you already have? That voice is fear. And every time you listen to it, you exchange your potential for security. You sacrifice your future for a bit of comfort in the present. Growth never happens in comfort. Growth happens when you feel uneasy, uncertain, and anxious. Still, you take another step anyway. It happens when you decide to continue, even when fear murmurs, stop. Most people don't understand that fear isn't a stop sign, it's a signal. It's your mind telling you that you're stepping into something unfamiliar, and that's exactly where life transforms. In the new, the uncertain, the uncomfortable. Fear is not your enemy. It's a natural part of being human. The problem begins when you start following it. Fear can convince you that staying the same is the safest choice. It urges you to remain with what you know, the same job, the same routine, the same comfort zone, because at least there, you won't get hurt. But that's not living. That's simply surviving. Real living begins when you decide that your future matters more than your fears. When you prioritize personal growth over your job, you begin asking yourself a different type of question. You stop asking, what if I fail? And you begin asking, what if I never try? That question hurts a little because deep down you know the answer. Not trying hurts more than failing ever will. Regret weighs more than risk. Fear keeps you stuck, but regret keeps you awake at night wondering what might have been. Every person who has built something meaningful faced fear. They didn't feel brave every moment, they simply decided that fear wouldn't be the one choosing for them. Courage doesn't mean you're fearless, courage means you move forward despite the fear. That's the difference between those who grow and those who remain the same. If you want to grow, you must do things that stretch you. You must have conversations that make you uncomfortable. You must learn skills that challenge you. You must begin things that may not succeed immediately. Growth isn't flashy. It's often quiet and uncomfortable, but that's where confidence is built. That's where you develop the strength to carry more, to become more, to accomplish more. Fear says you can't handle it. Growth says you can learn how, and learning how is where true power lives. When you choose growth, you're telling yourself, I'm willing to learn what I don't know. I'm willing to fail and try again. I'm willing to improve. That mindset turns ordinary people into leaders, into creators, into examples. Many people turn their job into their identity. They say, this is who I am. But what happens when that job changes? What happens when the company shuts down or the role ends? If your entire value is tied to your job, you lose yourself when the job disappears. Personal growth protects you from that.
When you focus on growing as a person, learning new skills, building emotional resilience, improving your communication, managing your time, taking care of your health, you become someone who can thrive anywhere. You become flexible. You become valuable, not because of your position, but because of your mindset. Fear convinces you that your safety comes from your job. Growth shows you that your security comes from your ability to grow, to learn, to adjust, and to rebuild when necessary. A person who grows is never truly trapped. Even when they lose something, they understand they can rise again because their strength isn't tied to what they own, it's tied to who they've become. When fear tells you to stop, that's exactly the moment you should take one more step, because that step right there is where breakthroughs happen. Most people quit one step before change appears. They stop just before growth starts to show results. But those who keep pushing, the ones who say, "I'll take another step even though I'm scared," they discover that fear loses power once you confront it. You have to remember that fear fades the moment you take action. The mind settles when the body moves. Thinking about action is where fear grows. Taking action is where it disappears. The first time you try something new, your heart pounds. The second time, it feels lighter. By the 10th time, it feels normal. That's how growth works. It turns what once frightened you into something you now handle with confidence. You don't need massive steps, you just need honest ones. Small, consistent actions toward growth each day create a life that fear can't control. Read a book that challenges how you think. Start a conversation with someone who motivates you. Set a goal that pushes you beyond comfort. Wake up early and work on something meaningful to you. These small choices stack into a powerful life. The truth is, most fears never actually happen. The worst-case scenario you imagine is usually far worse in your mind than in reality. But even if things don't go perfectly, you'll come out stronger, wiser, and more capable. And that's what growth gives you. Not a life without challenges, but the strength to face them better. Think about how it feels when you overcome something that once scared you. There's a quiet confidence that comes with it. You walk differently. You speak with more assurance. You trust yourself more. That's what growth does. It builds belief in yourself through real experience. No one can give that to you. You earn it by doing the difficult things fear tells you to avoid. Your job might give you income, but personal growth gives you purpose. A job can end, but growth lasts forever. It changes how you see yourself, how you think, how you act, and how you treat others. It makes you more aware, more capable, and more fulfilled. When you grow, everything in your life grows with you. Your confidence, your relationships, your opportunities. Fear will always exist. It's not disappearing, but it doesn't have to control your life. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can doubt yourself and still act. You can feel nervous and still grow. The power lies in choosing what matters more, your comfort or your future. And if you truly want a better life, you must choose your future every single time. Growth isn't something you stumble upon, it's something you choose. You choose to read instead of scroll. You choose to take the class instead of complain. You choose to speak up instead of stay quiet. You choose to take the risk instead of wishing you had. Every decision shapes who you become. When you look back one day, you won't remember the moments you played it safe. You'll remember the moments you faced fear and grew. Those are the memories that build pride and peace. Those are the moments that prove you're stronger than your fears. Choosing growth when fear tells you to stop isn't easy, but it's worth everything, because each time you do, you become more of the person you were meant to be.
You become someone who moves with purpose, who isn't ruled by fear, who keeps growing no matter what happens. And that's a person who can build any future they choose. You don't need to be fearless. You only need to choose growth one more time today, then again tomorrow, and again after that. Do this long enough, and one day, fear won't recognize you anymore because you'll have grown far beyond its reach. Chapter 2. Train your mind to crave daily progress. Most people wait for motivation to show up before they act, but that's not how growth actually works. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Progress, on the other hand, is built through daily discipline, through the quiet choice to do something today that moves you even 1 inch forward. When your mind learns to crave progress, you stop relying on mood and start relying on habit. That's when change becomes steady and real. The mind is like a muscle. If you train it to search for excuses, it will find them. If you train it to look for improvement, it will find that too. Each day, you either reinforce the habit of growth or the habit of delay. There's no middle ground. Training your mind to crave daily progress means setting a new standard for yourself, one where staying still is no longer acceptable, even in small ways. When you make progress a daily goal, your thinking begins to shift. You start noticing small victories. You start measuring success by effort, not by the size of the result. A few pages read, a few minutes exercised, a few ideas written. Those small steps train your brain to connect satisfaction with progress instead of comfort. That's how the shift happens. The more your brain links growth with reward, the more naturally it seeks it. At first, your mind will push back. It's used to ease, it's used to finishing work and calling the day complete. But growth asks for more. It asks for reflection after effort, learning after outcomes, and awareness after action. The mind doesn't enjoy effort without reward, but that's exactly what builds the habit: showing up, improving slightly, and ending the day knowing you did something better than yesterday. That quiet feeling of progress becomes addictive in the best way. Every morning you wake up with two voices in your head. One says, "Stay comfortable." The other says, "Do something meaningful." The voice you feed most becomes stronger. If you choose the second voice often enough, it becomes automatic. Soon your mind starts asking, "What can I improve today?" That's when you know it's trained. You've taught it that fulfillment comes from growth, not from avoiding effort. Progress doesn't need to be big. In fact, small, consistent progress is the most powerful kind. When you do something daily, even for 10 minutes, it rewires your mind to expect improvement. That expectation changes everything. You stop needing someone else to push you. You began pushing yourself. You feel uncomfortable when a day passes without learning or building something. That's the mind of someone who grows restless in comfort, alive in movement. Training your mind to crave progress means paying attention to how you use your time. The average person gives more focus to distractions than to development. Hours go to screens, not skills. Growth requires shifting that balance. Ask yourself at the end of each day, did I learn something today? Did I move forward? When the answer is yes, even in small ways, you sleep better. You rest with pride instead of guilt. That feeling fuels you to do more the next day. People who grow daily aren't special, they're intentional. They understand that a strong mind isn't built overnight. It's built through repetition, focus, and patience. Just like exercise strengthens the body, daily progress strengthens your mindset. The more you practice it, the more resilient and confident you become. You stop fearing new beginnings because you trust your ability to improve over time. There will be days when you don't feel like doing anything. That's when training matters most. Growth isn't proven on easy days.
It's proven when you feel tired, unmotivated, or unsure. If you still choose to take one small step forward on those days, you're building something deeper than progress. You're building character. You're teaching your mind that commitment matters more than comfort. Daily progress is also about awareness. It's not only doing things, but noticing them. Acknowledging your small wins gives your brain evidence that you're moving forward. Write them down, celebrate them quietly. Remind yourself that you're not where you once were. That feeling of progress creates momentum. It reminds you that growth is happening even when it feels slow. Your environment matters as well. If you spend time with people who don't value growth, your mind will lower its standards to match theirs. Surround yourself with people who talk about ideas, goals, and improvement. Listen to conversations that spark curiosity. Energy spreads. Make sure the one you absorb is progress, not complacency. Training your mind isn't about being perfect, it's about becoming aware of your patterns. Every time you waste a day and feel that quiet frustration, remember it's your mind signaling that you're capable of more. Use that feeling. Don't avoid it. Turn it into something small but meaningful. An extra workout, a page of writing, a few minutes of learning. That's how dissatisfaction becomes drive. The reason many people feel stuck is because they connect progress to big milestones. They wait for promotions, achievements, or recognition before feeling good about themselves. But waiting for outside rewards trains your brain to rely on approval. Real growth happens when you create your own approval. When you say, "I'm proud of the effort I gave today."
That inner pride becomes your daily fuel. Once your mind gets used to daily growth, living without it feels uncomfortable. You start feeling uneasy when you waste time. You begin craving challenge. You choose effort over ease. That's when you know you shifted your identity from a worker to a learner, from someone who reacts to someone who creates. Every part of your life starts improving because growth is now part of who you are, not just something you do. The true reward of progress isn't what you achieve, it's who you become through the process. You develop patience, focus, and discipline. You learn to manage your emotions and control your attention. You build trust in yourself, and that trust becomes your foundation. You stop questioning whether you can handle the next challenge because you have proof you've handled the ones before. Even your job begins to change as your mindset grows. You stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. You find lessons in every task, every project, every interaction. Instead of asking, "What do I get from this?" you start asking, "What can I learn from this?" That question turns your work into a daily growth practice. Suddenly, your job becomes a tool for personal development instead of a trap for survival. Progress builds confidence, and confidence attracts opportunity. When people see you improving daily, they respect you, they trust your consistency, they see someone who refuses to settle. That kind of person naturally stands out anywhere. But the best part isn't what others notice, it's how you feel about yourself. You begin carrying yourself with quiet certainty. You know you're moving forward, and that feeling replaces fear with focus. If you want to train your mind to crave progress, start simple. Choose one area, physical health, skill building, mindset, or communication, and improve it by 1% each day. Track it, notice it, make it part of your routine. Once your mind feels the satisfaction of consistent growth, it will seek that feeling naturally. You won't need motivation anymore. Progress itself will move you. Every person has the power to change the direction of their life, but it begins in the mind. The thoughts you feed daily become the habits you live by. Feed it progress, feed it challenge, feed it purpose. Over time, your mind will begin to expect growth the same way it expects air.
That's when life changes. When daily progress isn't a task, it's a need. The truth is, there is no final destination in growth. There's only today. Another opportunity to improve, to learn, to become slightly better. And when you connect enough of those days, you'll look back and realize how far you've traveled. The secret isn't speed, it's consistency. A strong mind doesn't chase perfection, it chases progress every day, without stopping, without fear, and without needing anyone's permission. Chapter 3. Break patterns that keep you feeling stuck. Feeling stuck is one of the toughest experiences in life because it doesn't always look dramatic from the outside. You might be doing everything right, showing up to work, paying bills, maintaining relationships, yet inside you feel like you're not moving. There's a quiet frustration that builds over time, a sense that you're capable of more, but can't seem to move ahead. The truth is, being stuck isn't about circumstances, it's about patterns. The thoughts you repeat, the routines you follow, the beliefs you hold, they create invisible walls around your progress. And until those patterns break, nothing changes. The first step to breaking patterns is awareness. Most people live on autopilot, repeating the same actions day after day without questioning them. They wake up at the same time, follow the same habits, think the same thoughts, then wonder why life feels repetitive. If you keep reacting the same way, making the same choices and avoiding the same risks, you can't expect different results. Change starts when you pause long enough to recognize the loop you're stuck in. Awareness breaks the illusion that you're powerless. Once you identify the pattern, you can begin rewriting it. Ask yourself, what am I doing every day that keeps me where I am? It might be staying quiet when you should speak up, avoiding discomfort, saying yes to things that drain you, or spending time around people who limit you. These actions may feel safe, but they quietly build the cage you're trying to escape. Every time you repeat an unhelpful pattern, you strengthen it. The mind learns fast. It remembers what feels familiar, even when it's unhealthy. That's why awareness alone isn't enough. You must replace the pattern with something better. Breaking old patterns requires discomfort. Your mind will resist to protect what it knows, even when what it knows doesn't serve you. That resistance isn't a sign you're failing, it's proof you're disrupting the system. Growth always creates tension before it brings peace. The key is staying with that tension without retreating to what's easy. Each time you resist old behavior, you weaken its grip on you. If you feel stuck, it means you've outgrown your current way of thinking. You're ready for more, but your habits are holding you back. The same thoughts that brought you here can't take you further. You need new input, new perspectives, new challenges. Read books that stretch your thinking. Spend time with people who talk about ideas instead of complaints. Try something new that scares you. Each small change creates cracks in the old pattern, and those cracks let light in. One of the strongest patterns keeping people stuck is comfort. Comfort feels good, but it's misleading. It offers short-term peace while quietly stealing long-term growth. The longer you stay comfortable, the harder it becomes to move. That's why you must make discomfort part of your routine. Challenge yourself intentionally. Do things that make you feel awkward or uncertain. When you repeat this often enough, your mind starts treating discomfort as normal. It stops using it as a reason to avoid change. Another pattern that traps people is self-doubt. It's that quiet voice that says, maybe this isn't for you, or you're not ready yet. Hear it enough times and it feels true. But it isn't truth, it's habit. You've trained your mind to repeat those words. Breaking that pattern means questioning your own thoughts. When your mind says, I can't, you answer, I'll learn how. When it says, I'm not ready, you move anyway.
Each time you do, you build a new pattern, one of courage, not avoidance. Your environment shapes your patterns too. If you're surrounded by people who settle, complain, or make excuses, it's easy to copy their behavior. Humans are wired to blend in, not to stand out. But blending in often means shrinking your potential to match your environment. If you want to grow, you must step into new environments that ask more of you. Spend time around people who raise your standards, who expect growth, who talk about possibilities. Their mindset will slowly influence yours. It's also important to examine the emotional patterns that hold you back. Maybe you react to criticism with defensiveness, or you avoid conflict because it feels uncomfortable. These patterns protect your ego, but they block your growth. When you notice yourself reacting the same way repeatedly, pause. Ask, is this response helping me grow or keeping me stuck? That pause gives you control. It interrupts the automatic reaction and allows you to choose a better one. Sometimes the pattern keeping you stuck isn't action, but inaction. Waiting for the right moment, waiting for motivation, waiting for clarity. These are all forms of delay disguised as preparation. You break this pattern by deciding that action creates clarity. You learn faster by doing than by overthinking. Start small. Take one clear step toward what you've been avoiding. Once you move, momentum follows. The hardest part of change is always the first push. Breaking patterns doesn't mean rejecting everything you've done before. It means separating what serves you from what doesn't. Some routines provide structure and stability. Others quietly drain your energy. Review your habits honestly. Ask yourself what adds value and what keeps you stuck. You'll be surprised how many things you do out of repetition, not intention. Replace one unhelpful habit at a time. Don't overload yourself. Real change happens slowly, but it lasts because it's built on awareness, not impulse. Growth requires permission. Permission to begin again, to think differently, to redefine who you are. Many people remain stuck because they fear being judged for changing. They worry about how others will respond if they start acting differently. But remember, you don't owe anyone the version of yourself that stays small. You have the right to evolve. You have the right to choose a new standard. The people meant for your future will support your growth, not your comfort zone. The human brain loves patterns because they create a sense of safety. Predictability feels secure, but too much predictability kills passion. Life becomes boring, repetitive, predictable.
That's why variety matters. Trying new experiences wakes the brain up. It forces adaptation and learning. Even small changes, taking a different route to work, trying a new hobby, speaking with someone new, send signals to your brain that life is still expanding. That expansion restores energy and motivation. If you want to stop feeling stuck, stop repeating the same story to yourself. The story you tell becomes your identity. If your story is, "I'm unlucky," or "I'm bad at change," your mind will search for proof. Change the story. Tell yourself, "I'm learning to adapt," or "I'm capable of more than I've shown." The story you tell shapes the reality you live. Speak progress into your life until your actions begin to match it. You'll know you're breaking patterns when things start to feel unfamiliar. That's a good sign. It means you're moving beyond comfort. At first, it feels unstable, even frightening. But that's exactly how growth starts. Not with excitement, but with uncertainty. Stay with that feeling. It's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. Most people quit there because they confuse discomfort with failure. It isn't failure, it's transformation in progress. Over time, new patterns replace the old ones. Your thoughts grow clearer, your decisions stronger, your actions more intentional.
You begin noticing that you no longer tolerate what drains you. You decide faster. You say no more often. You create room for new opportunities. And that's when you realize you're no longer stuck. You've simply outgrown the life that fit your old habits. Breaking patterns isn't about fixing yourself. It's about freeing yourself. You're not broken. You've just been repeating what feels familiar. The moment you choose something different, you start rewriting your future. Every time you act with awareness instead of impulse, you take back control of your life. That control brings power, confidence, and peace. You don't need to change everything today. You just need to start paying attention. Every pattern you break creates space for something better. Every time you say, "This stops with me," you're choosing growth. You're proving to yourself that you don't have to live by yesterday's rules. You can learn, adapt, and move forward, one new choice at a time. That's how real transformation starts, not through massive leaps, but through the quiet, powerful decision to stop living the same day again and again. Chapter 4. Build self-respect through small daily wins. Self-respect isn't built overnight. It grows through quiet victories that no one notices. The small promises you keep to yourself, the choices you make when no one is watching, the moments you choose growth over comfort. Every time you follow through on something you said you would do, you add another layer of self-respect. You begin trusting yourself more. You start believing your own words again. A person who trusts themselves becomes unstoppable. The problem is, most people wait for big achievements to feel proud. They want the promotion, the recognition, the applause. But real self-respect doesn't come from those things. It comes from doing the small, unglamorous tasks that build discipline. When you wake up early instead of staying in bed, when you finish the workout even though you're tired, when you sit down to learn instead of scrolling on your phone, those are the wins that build the foundation of confidence. The human mind remembers effort. It knows when you're avoiding what matters. It also knows when you show up. Each time you take action that aligns with your values, you strengthen the connection between who you want to be and who you actually are. That alignment creates self-respect. When your actions match your intentions, you start carrying yourself differently. You stop chasing validation because your sense of worth comes from within. Small daily wins don't look impressive, but they quietly compound. Think about it. Brushing your teeth doesn't feel like an achievement, but doing it every day protects your health. In the same way, small acts of discipline protect your character. When you treat yourself with respect and small choices, you naturally expect more from yourself in bigger areas. The little things teach your brain that you can rely on yourself. People lose self-respect when they stop keeping promises to themselves. They say they'll eat better, but don't. They say they'll read more, but never open the book. Every time they break a promise, they chip away at their self-trust. It's not the size of the promise that matters, it's the consistency of honoring it. When your word stops meaning something to you, confidence fades.
To rebuild that trust, you must start small again and prove yourself right, one action at a time. You can't build self-respect by pretending. You build it through effort. It's the satisfaction of finishing what you started, even when you didn't feel like it. It's showing up on hard days, not just easy ones. Through the smallest actions, making your bed, organizing your space, completing a task, trains your mind to finish things. Completion creates momentum, and momentum builds pride. There's something powerful about winning small battles every day. You start noticing your standards rise naturally. You stop accepting laziness from yourself. You stop blaming luck or circumstances. You take responsibility. Each small win sends a message to your brain: I'm capable.
That message becomes belief, and belief shapes everything: your posture, your decisions, your direction. Small daily wins also remind you that progress doesn't require perfection. You don't need to change everything at once, you just need to do one thing well each day. Drink more water, take a walk, study for 20 minutes, have a meaningful conversation, write down your goals. Each win moves you forward. The power is in the accumulation. 10 days of consistency change how you feel about yourself more than 10 bursts of motivation. Your relationship with yourself is built the same way you build trust with anyone else, through honesty and follow-through. When you tell a friend you'll meet them and you show up, trust grows. When you do the same for yourself, confidence grows. Every time you complete a small win, you strengthen the bond with your own mind. That's the kind of confidence no one can give or take away. Many people underestimate the emotional impact of small wins. Completing even a simple task releases satisfaction in the brain. It proves that effort leads to reward. The more often you feel that, the more your brain starts craving it. You begin enjoying the process of progress. You stop waiting for motivation because consistency itself becomes the motivation. That's how a cycle of growth begins, from one small win. If you've ever felt like you lost respect for yourself, you can start rebuilding it today. Don't try to fix everything. Choose one small habit and commit to it daily. It could be waking up 10 minutes earlier, writing 1 page a day, or avoiding negative self-talk. Stick with it for a week. Pay attention to how you feel when you keep that promise. That feeling is self-respect returning. It's the quiet realization that you're capable of discipline again. It's easy to forget that self-respect has nothing to do with visible achievements. It's personal. No one needs to applaud you. You know the difference between efforts and avoidance. You know when you're honest with yourself. That private sense of integrity, that's where real strength lives. You don't need to announce your progress. Your actions will speak for you. Building self-respect also means forgiving yourself when you fail.
Growth doesn't mean perfection. It means not quitting when you fall short. If you miss a day, don't turn it into a failure story. Simply start again the next day. That's mature self-respect. Not punishment, but responsibility. You stop calling yourself lazy because you have proof you're not. You stop calling yourself inconsistent because you keep going. You stop doubting your ability to grow because you've seen yourself follow through. Your words begin matching your actions, and that alignment creates inner peace. When you build self-respect through daily wins, clarity follows. You begin understanding what truly matters to you. You stop saying yes to things that don't align with your values. You stop chasing approval because your worth no longer depends on others' opinions. You start respecting your time, your boundaries, and your energy. And once you respect yourself, others begin respecting you too. Not because you demand it, but because you embody it. Self-respect changes how you enter every room. It changes how you speak, how you face challenges, and how you recover from setbacks. It's the quiet confidence that says, I can handle this because I trust myself. You can't fake that confidence. It's built by showing up for yourself again and again until it becomes who you are. There's no shortcut to earning it. You have to build it. Every morning is another chance to do so. Start your day by completing something simple. Make your bed, organize your space, drink water, move your body. Those small actions tell your brain we're starting strong. The rest of your day follows that signal. Win the morning, and you set a tone of discipline and pride that carries through the hours. No one is too busy to build self-respect. It doesn't take hours, it takes intention. You can do something meaningful in 5 minutes if you commit fully. What matters is consistency, not scale. You don't need to prove yourself to the world. You only need to keep showing yourself that you're growing, that you're showing up, that you're becoming the person you said you would be. In the end, small daily wins do something powerful. They make you feel proud of yourself again. Not proud because you're flawless, but because you're trying with sincerity. That kind of pride is different from ego. It's rooted, calm, and steady. It stays with you even when life gets difficult because it's built on the truth of your effort. The goal isn't to be better than anyone else. The goal is to be better than the version of you that quit easily, doubted too much, or waited for permission. Every small win proves you're stronger than that version. Over time, that strength becomes unshakable self-respect, the kind that doesn't disappear when challenges arise, the kind that stands firm even when no one is applauding. That's the quiet power of small daily wins. They build the kind of confidence that lasts a lifetime. Chapter 5. Learn to outgrow environments that limit you. There comes a point in life when you begin to feel that where you are no longer matches who you're becoming. It might be your job, your social circle, or even routines you've outgrown. At first, it's just a subtle discomfort, a feeling that something no longer fits, but the longer you ignore it, the heavier it becomes. Growth has a way of making old spaces feel smaller. When your environment stops supporting your evolution, you start feeling trapped. Learning to outgrow limiting environments isn't about rejecting people or places. It's about respecting your need to keep expanding. Many people stay in limiting environments because they fear loss. They're afraid of leaving comfort, security, or approval behind. But comfort without growth eventually turns into quiet frustration. You can't evolve while clinging to what keeps you the same. Every time you shrink yourself to fit in, you trade a piece of your potential for short-term peace. Growth demands honesty, and honesty sometimes says, "This is no longer where you belong." Outgrowing an environment doesn't mean it was wrong, it simply means it fulfilled its role. Maybe it taught you discipline, resilience, or clarity, but every stage of growth has an expiration point. Staying past it drains you instead of strengthening you. Life moves in seasons. The challenge is recognizing when one is ended and finding the courage to move forward, even when it feels uncomfortable. Environments shape identity. When you spend your days around people who avoid challenge, complain constantly, or settle for less, you slowly absorb those habits. Human nature adapts to surrounding energy. That's why awareness of your environment matters. You can have strong intentions, but if you're surrounded by limits, growth becomes difficult. Growth requires space, mental, emotional, and sometimes physical. You know an environment is limiting you when you begin doubting yourself more than before. You start feeling guilty for wanting more. You hesitate to share your goals because you expect doubt or small thinking in return. These are signs your surroundings are no longer nourishing your growth. Instead of expanding you, they confine you. You don't need anger, you need awareness. Awareness is where freedom starts. Outgrowing an environment often means outgrowing an old version of yourself. The habits that once served you may no longer be enough. The people who once understood you may no longer align with your direction. That isn't betrayal, it's evolution. It takes maturity to understand that moving forward doesn't require rejecting anyone. It simply means choosing alignment over familiarity. When you stay too long in a limiting environment, it begins shaping your mindset. You start normalizing mediocrity. You stop expecting more from yourself. You lower your goals to match convenience instead of possibility. That's how potential fades away, not through failure, but through comfort. To grow, you must raise your standards, even when the people around you are satisfied with less. The hardest part of leaving limiting environments is the emotional pull of belonging. Humans need connection, and walking away from familiar people or places can feel isolating. But that isolation is temporary. It's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. If you can sit in that space without rushing back to comfort, you'll discover something powerful, your own voice. You'll start hearing your thoughts more clearly, and that clarity will guide you toward better opportunities in relationships. Outgrowing environments also means learning to handle guilt. Sometimes the people you care about won't understand your need to grow. They may take it personally. They may say you've changed, and they'll be right. But change isn't wrong. Staying the same when you know you're capable of more, that's the real loss. You owe it to yourself to evolve, even if it means walking alone for a while. The right people will meet you at the next level. Growth doesn't always require dramatic exits. Sometimes it's a quiet shift. You stop engaging in gossip. You spend less time on distractions. You begin saying no to things that don't align with your goals. Slowly, your environment adjusts to the new version of you. You don't need to announce your growth. You just need to live it. Over time, what no longer fits will fall away naturally. Outgrowing an environment can also happen within your job. The work that once challenged you may now feel repetitive. You might crave more impact, more creativity, or more learning. That's a sign your growth has outpaced your current role. Many people ignore that signal because they fear instability. But what's truly unstable is staying somewhere that no longer stretches you. You can't grow in a place that rewards staying the same. Sometimes the environment limiting you isn't external, it's internal. The thoughts you repeat, the excuses you justify, the beliefs you hold onto. They form invisible walls. You can change your surroundings endlessly, but if your mindset stays the same, you'll recreate those limits wherever you go. Outgrowing environments begins with outgrowing the mental patterns that keep you small. Challenge your assumptions. Question the beliefs that tell you this is all there is. That's where real transformation begins. If you want to grow beyond your current environment, start by expanding your exposure. Read new ideas, listen to different perspectives, spend time with people living at the level you want to reach. Exposure reshapes perception. Once you see what's possible, your mind won't return to small thinking. You begin expecting more from life, and that expectation draws you toward environments that support growth. You also need to recognize that some environments become toxic not because they're bad, but because you've outgrown their rhythm. What once energized you now drains you. Conversations that once inspired you now feel repetitive. Goals that once felt ambitious now feel basic. That's your growth telling you it's time to move. Don't ignore that message. If you do, frustration builds until it becomes burnout. Leaving a limiting environment isn't about running away, it's about running toward your potential. There's a difference between escaping and evolving. Escaping avoids problems. Evolving chooses growth despite discomfort. You're not abandoning your past, you're building on it. Everything you've experienced has prepared you for the next level, but you must be willing to step into it. The people who grow the most are the ones brave enough to say, I don't belong here anymore. They don't wait for approval. They don't need everyone to agree. They listen to that quiet inner voice that says, there's more for me. That voice is your instinct for growth. Ignoring it is one of the biggest sources of regret. Listening to it is one of the purest acts of self-respect. You'll know you found a growth-supportive environment when you feel energized instead of drained. You'll notice conversations lift you up instead of limit you.
You'll feel encouraged to dream bigger instead of being told to stay realistic. You'll be around people who celebrate your improvement instead of feeling threatened by it. That kind of environment doesn't just change your career, it transforms your entire sense of what's possible. The journey of outgrowing environments never ends. As you continue evolving, you'll keep reaching moments where you need more challenge, more learning, more depth. Rather than fearing that process, learn to welcome it. It means you're alive. It means you're expanding. It means you're refusing to settle for less than your potential. Growth doesn't ask for permission. It asks for courage.
When you look back years from now, you'll see that every time you outgrew a limiting environment, it was a turning point. Each time you chose to leave what no longer served you, life opened new doors. What once felt like loss will feel like freedom. You'll realize the courage to move forward was the greatest gift you ever gave yourself. When you start feeling like you're shrinking to stay somewhere, remember this: you weren't meant to fit forever. You were meant to keep evolving. Growth will always require more space, more challenge, more honesty. So when life whispers that you've outgrown something, listen closely. That's not failure, that's your next chapter calling. Chapter 6. Put your peace before job pressure. There comes a point when the constant noise of deadlines, messages, and meetings begins stealing something precious from you, your peace. You may not notice it at first because it happens quietly. You wake up thinking about unfinished work, you eat while your mind is still on tasks, and you fall asleep carrying the weight of things that don't belong in your dreams. Gradually, your peace becomes the price you pay for your job. But no job, no matter how successful, is worth sacrificing your inner calm. Peace isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Without it, success loses meaning. People often confuse busyness with productivity. They believe doing more makes them more valuable. But that mindset creates burnout, not excellence. A tired mind makes poor choices. A restless heart can't create meaningful work. Peace isn't the absence of responsibility, it's the presence of balance. It's knowing when to push and when to pause. It's learning to be fully present instead of mentally everywhere at once. Putting your peace before job pressure doesn't mean you stop caring about your work. It means you stop allowing work to control your life. You can be ambitious and peaceful at the same time. In fact, the people who sustain success protect their energy. They understand you can't pour from an empty cup. If you constantly drain yourself to meet expectations, eventually there's nothing left to give. Peace begins with boundaries. Without them, everything feels urgent and your time slips away. Set limits on how much of yourself your job consumes. Don't check messages every hour. Don't let unfinished tasks invade personal time. Learn to say no without guilt. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're healthy. They teach others to respect your time and teach you to value your own well-being. Many people fear slowing down because they think it means falling behind. But non-stop motion without rest doesn't move you forward, it moves you toward burnout. You can't think clearly when exhausted. You can't grow when constantly reacting. When peace becomes your priority, your decisions improve. You see clearly from calm instead of stress. Clarity comes from stillness, not speed. Job pressure often feeds on fear, fear of losing status, fear of disappointing others, fear of not being enough. That fear pushes you to overcommit, overwork, and neglect your health. But work driven by fear is never sustainable. It drains your confidence and steals your joy. The truth is, no job will ever give you lasting peace. Peace is something you create through how you manage yourself. It begins with deciding that your mental and emotional health are non-negotiable. You don't need to answer every email the moment it arrives.
You don't need to agree to every request. You don't need to prove your value through exhaustion. True professionalism isn't about constant availability, it's about consistent effectiveness. You perform better when you're rested, centered, and focused. Peace improves performance. It allows clarity and creativity to show up in your work. Qualities pressure destroys. There's an important difference between working hard and working endlessly. Working hard is intentional. It's focused effort. Working endlessly is survival mode. It's when your worth becomes tangled with your workload. You start believing that the more you sacrifice, the more valuable you are. But that belief is dangerous. It turns your job into your identity, and your fatigue into a badge of honor. You aren't defined by how much you do. You're defined by how well you live while doing it. Putting peace first also means listening to your body. The body never lies. Tight shoulders, constant tiredness, headaches, racing thoughts, these are all signals something is off. Your body knows when it's overwhelmed, even if your mind tries to deny it. Listening early prevents burnout later.
You don't need a breakdown to start caring for yourself. You need awareness and consistency. You can't wait for work to slow down before finding peace. You have to create moments of peace inside the chaos. Take short pauses to breathe deeply. Step outside for a few minutes and feel the sunlight. Disconnect after work. Build evening routines that help your mind settle. Peace isn't found in big vacations. It's built through small daily moments of stillness that remind you you're more than your role. Some people think choosing peace means abandoning ambition, but that's not true. Peace is what makes ambition sustainable. When your mind is calm, you think long-term. You plan better. You avoid stress-driven mistakes. You work smarter, not harder. Ambition without peace becomes obsession. Ambition with peace becomes mastery. One damages your health, the other builds your legacy. When peace becomes a priority, your definition of success changes. You stop measuring success by busyness and start measuring it by fulfillment. You realize a good life isn't filled with non-stop work. It's filled with balance, time with people you love, quiet moments to reflect, and energy for what matters. A peaceful life doesn't mean an easy one. It means choosing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. If your job constantly occupies your thoughts, it's time to create distance. Leave work at work. When the day ends, let it end. Train your mind to shift focus when you walk out the door. Life beyond your job needs your attention, your family, your health, your passions. Those areas give meaning to life in ways work never can. When you care for life outside of work, you show up more balanced within it. Sometimes peace requires hard decisions. It may mean declining opportunities that demand too much. It may mean setting boundaries with a demanding manager or rethinking a career that costs your well-being. These choices aren't easy, but they're necessary. No paycheck replaces peace of mind. No title is worth losing your joy. Success should enhance your life, not consume it. Remember that pressure often comes from within. We create stress by chasing perfection, trying to please everyone, or setting impossible standards. The more you seek approval, the less peace you have. Begin practicing self-compassion. Allow yourself to be human. You can aim for excellence without punishing yourself. Give your best, then rest, knowing that's enough. When you protect your peace, others may not understand at first. They might see you as less committed or less driven, but over time, they'll notice the difference. They'll see calm in your presence, focus in your work, and strength in your decisions. You become an example of someone who succeeds without self-destruction. That quiet confidence is more powerful than any outside praise. A peaceful person works with clarity. They face challenges without panic.
They make decisions without fear. They know when to pause, when to breathe, when to recover. Peace gives perspective. It reminds you that your job is only one part of your life, not the whole of it. When you see life through that lens, stress loses its grip. You start managing your work instead of letting it manage you. Peace will cost you certain things: people-pleasing habits, overthinking, an addiction to constant activity. But what you gain is far more valuable: mental stability, emotional balance, and the ability to live with calm confidence. Peace isn't weakness, it's strength under control. It's the ability to face pressure without losing yourself. At the end of each day, your mind deserves rest, and your heart deserves stillness. You don't need to earn peace by achieving something big. You just need to give yourself permission to have it. When peace becomes your priority, you begin to realize that a calm life isn't boring. It's powerful. It gives you control, focus, and happiness that lasts longer than any work reward. So, work hard, yes, but not at the cost of your sanity. Meet your responsibilities, but also meet yourself with care. Protect the part of you that dreams, laughs, and breathes freely. Because when your peace is protected, you don't just perform better, you live better. And a well-lived life will always matter more than a well-done job. Chapter 7. Strength and Discipline.
When motivation fades away, there are days when motivation feels strong and everything flows easily. You wake up excited, ideas come effortlessly, and progress feels simple. Then there are the other days, when getting out of bed feels heavy, energy disappears, and nothing inside you feels inspired. Those days truly shape who you become, because growth isn't built on how you act when motivated, it's built on how you act when motivation fades. Discipline carries you through moments when enthusiasm disappears. It's the bridge between goals and results. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is deliberate. Motivation depends on how you feel. Discipline depends on what you've decided. If you rely on motivation, you'll act only when conditions feel right. But life rarely offers perfect conditions. You must build a system that works even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is that system. It's acting based on values, not moods. Discipline doesn't mean being harsh with yourself. It means training your mind to recognize the long-term reward of consistency. It's the quiet voice that says, "Do it anyway." It's the ability to show up tired, distracted, or uninspired and still give effort. You don't need perfection, you need persistence. Progress happens in the small, repeated moments when you do the work, even when your feelings argue against it. The truth is, motivation always fluctuates. Some days you feel unstoppable. Other days you want to quit. That's normal. The mistake people make is believing those low days mean something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. You're human. The difference between those who reach their potential and those who don't isn't motivation. It's who continues when the spark fades. Discipline is built through repetition. Every time you act despite resistance, you teach your brain that emotions don't control you. You begin separating decision from feeling. That separation is where real power begins. When you start depending on structure instead of emotion, consistency follows. And consistency, even in small forms, creates results that motivation alone never can. Discipline is difficult for most people because it lacks the instant excitement motivation provides. Motivation gives a rush. Discipline delivers results. The mind craves novelty, but growth requires stability. You must learn to find fulfillment not only in results, but in the process itself. When the process becomes the reward, you stop waiting for motivation to show up. One way to strengthen discipline is to reduce resistance between intention and action. The longer you delay, the weaker your drive becomes. Begin before you feel ready. Take a small step to build momentum.
If you don't feel like exercising, put on your shoes and step outside. If you don't feel like writing, open your notebook and write one sentence. Action creates energy. Once you begin, the mind follows. Discipline grows stronger with structure. Build systems that make helpful actions easier and harmful ones harder. Schedule your most important habits. Remove distractions that pull you away. Keep your environment clean and focused. The less energy you waste deciding, the more energy you have to act. Discipline thrives in clarity. Chaos weakens it. Another key to discipline is accountability. When you know someone expects progress from you, even if it's your future self, consistency becomes easier. Keep promises to yourself the same way you keep them with others. Write your goals down and review them daily. Each follow-through strengthens self-trust. Each time you quit early, you weaken it. The goal is to make your word matter again. On days when motivation disappears, your mind will begin negotiating. It will say, "You deserve a break," or "You can start tomorrow." This is when awareness matters most. Discipline means recognizing those thoughts for what they are. Comfort speaking. Comfort is not your ally when you're growing. It will tell you to stop just as progress approaches. The solution is action. Don't debate excuses, outwork them. Discipline isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. When motivation fades, narrow your focus. Don't try to fix everything. Complete one meaningful task. When you do, momentum returns. That single win signals your brain that you're still moving forward, and that feeling reignites purpose. You don't need full motivation, you need motion. Over time, discipline creates emotional stability.
You stop being ruled by moods. You no longer need inspiration to make progress. You develop quiet confidence, the kind that says, "I'll get it done no matter what." That's the mindset of long-term success. These people don't rely on temporary energy, they rely on steady effort. They understand that doing what's necessary eventually builds the life they want. Discipline doesn't always feel good in the moment. It's often uncomfortable, repetitive, and unglamorous. But every disciplined choice is a choice for growth. Each repetition builds resilience. Each consistent action creates strength. It's the unseen work behind visible results. When you look at successful people, you're seeing the outcome of thousands of disciplined moments where they didn't quit. As discipline grows, your relationship with effort changes. You stop viewing effort as punishment and start seeing it as power. Each time you push through resistance, you prove you're stronger than your excuses. That realization changes everything. It builds pride. It gives you control. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You create it. You stop waiting for permission. You act. The relationship between motivation and discipline is simple. Motivation starts the race. Discipline finishes it. Motivation is the spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning. Most people quit when the spark fades because they never learn how to build the fire. You build it through small, consistent acts of follow-through. Even when results aren't immediate, the action itself builds strength. The longer you practice, the less you depend on fleeting energy. Rest is also part of discipline. It's not about pushing endlessly, it's about managing yourself wisely. Rest when needed, not to avoid effort, but to respect your limits. A disciplined person knows how to recover with intention, not procrastinate with guilt. They understand recovery supports consistency. Without balance, discipline becomes punishment. With balance, it becomes mastery. As discipline grows, confidence expands. You begin trusting your ability to follow through. You stop doubting your capacity to succeed. You become reliable in your own eyes. That's powerful. Knowing that regardless of how you feel, you can take the next step. That's freedom. It removes dependence on motivation entirely.
There will be times when progress feels invisible. You'll be working without seeing results yet. That's when most people stop. But those invisible moments are where transformation happens. Discipline is like planting seeds. You don't see growth every day, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Keep nourishing your habits. One day, results will show up, and they'll reflect every quiet effort you made. If you ever forget why discipline matters, remember what life feels like without it. The frustration of unfinished goals, the regret of wasted potential, the exhaustion of starting over again and again. Discipline removes those feelings. It brings structure to ambition and stability to emotion. It turns dreams into progress and confusion into clarity. A disciplined person isn't perfect, they're committed. They don't wait until they feel ready. They understand that showing up, especially on uninspired days, is what builds strength. Discipline isn't about doing more than others. It's about doing what you promised yourself, even when it's difficult. Every time you keep that promise, you strengthen the foundation of your success. Motivation is temporary. It fades with mood, circumstance, and fatigue. Discipline lasts. It remains when excitement disappears, when the journey feels long, when results seem far away. It's what keeps you grounded. When everything else wavers, strengthen it daily. Feed it through routine, action, and purpose. Because in the end, the people who win aren't the most motivated, they're the most consistent. Chapter 8. Replace validation with deep self-belief. One of life's hardest lessons is realizing you don't need anyone's approval to be worthy. From a young age, most people are trained to seek validation from parents, teachers, bosses, friends, and now even strangers online. You begin measuring your worth by how others react to you. You rely on compliments, attention, and recognition to feel good about yourself. At first, it feels rewarding, but over time, it becomes a trap. Because once your confidence depends on outside validation, you lose control of it.
You hand your peace, your mood, and your motivation to other people's opinions. The goal is to replace validation with deep self-belief, the kind that remains steady even when no one applauds you. Self-belief isn't arrogance, it's quiet certainty. It's knowing who you are and what you stand for, even when others can't see your vision yet. It's continuing forward when approval is missing. People who depend on validation need constant reassurance. People who build self-belief create their own approval through action, discipline, and honesty. They don't chase attention. They earn respect by being authentic. The need for validation comes from fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not being enough. When you live for validation, you shape yourself to please others instead of becoming who you truly are. You silence opinions, shrink yourself, and settle for less just to belong. It may feel comfortable for a while, but it costs authenticity. Deep self-belief is built by choosing honesty over approval. It means saying, "I'd rather be real than liked." You don't develop self-belief by reading about it. You build it through experience, by keeping promises to yourself, facing fear, and handling failure with strength. Every time you act without seeking applause, you strengthen your belief muscle. Self-belief isn't created by success, it's created by resilience. It grows each time you move forward despite doubt. The more you practice independent thinking, the less you need validation to feel secure. External validation feels good because it offers temporary certainty. Someone praises you, and you feel worthy for a moment. Then it fades, and you want more. That's how dependency forms. You begin chasing approval instead of progress. You stop asking, "Is this right for me?" and start asking, "Will people like this?" The problem is, opinions constantly change. Building your worth on something unstable creates anxiety. Deep self-belief is the opposite. It's stable, calm, and lasting.
To develop it, start validating yourself. Notice your progress. Respect your effort. Speak to yourself with kindness. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're doing well. Tell yourself. Celebrate small wins privately. You don't need an audience for growth to be real. When you approve your own journey, outside validation becomes a bonus, not a necessity. Another step towards self-belief is becoming comfortable with being misunderstood. Not everyone will understand your path, your goals, or your timing, and that's okay. The stronger your belief in yourself, the less you need others to understand. You stop explaining your choices and start living them. You stop justifying your dreams and start pursuing them. Growth sometimes requires walking alone. Self-belief gives you the courage to do that without bitterness. Comparison is one of the greatest enemies of self-belief. When you constantly compare yourself to others, you lose connection with your own progress. Someone else's success begins to make you question your potential. But no journey is the same. Others may be ahead in one area and behind in another. You're not meant to follow someone else's timeline. You're meant to build your own. Replace comparison with curiosity. Ask, "What can I learn from this?" instead of, "Why am I not there yet?" That shift transforms jealousy into growth. You can't truly believe in yourself if you keep breaking promises to yourself. Every time you quit early or ignore your goals, you weaken trust in your own word. Self-belief is built through evidence. Evidence that you follow through, that you persist, that you handle whatever comes. Discipline is the foundation of belief. When you consistently show up for yourself, you stop needing others to remind you of your capability. You already know. It's also important to separate validation from feedback. Feedback helps you improve. Validation creates dependence. Feedback says, "Here's how you can get better." Validation says, "You're only worthy if others approve." Healthy people accept feedback while staying rooted in self-worth. They learn without losing themselves. They receive advice as direction, not judgment. That's what self-belief allows, the ability to grow without questioning your value. People with strong self-belief have a powerful inner voice. They speak to themselves differently. Instead of saying, "I can't," they say, "I'll figure it out." Instead of, "I'm not good enough," they say, "I'm improving." That inner dialogue matters more than anything. You live inside your thoughts every day, and if those thoughts are negative, no amount of praise can fix it. The strongest validation comes from how you speak to yourself in private. You don't build self-belief by removing doubt. You build it by moving through it. Confidence isn't the absence of uncertainty, it's acting on what matters despite uncertainty. Every time you act while afraid, you prove courage is stronger than fear. Each time you take ownership of your progress instead of waiting for recognition, your independence grows. The more you rely on action, the less you rely on approval. There's a calm that comes with self-belief. You stop chasing opinions, you stop performing for attention, you become centered. That doesn't mean ignoring others, it means refusing to let them control your direction. You listen, but you choose. You respect opinions, but you follow your inner compass. That quiet independence separates fulfillment from approval addiction. In a world that rewards appearance over substance, choosing self-belief is an act of rebellion. You're surrounded by systems that measure worth, likes, followers, titles, salaries, but none of them measure peace. Peace comes from knowing who you are when those systems disappear. It lives in moments when you're alone, doing meaningful work without applause, and still feeling proud. That's when you realize your value doesn't need proof. Replacing validation with self-belief also means accepting imperfection.
If your worth depends on flawlessness, you'll always feel inadequate. Belief doesn't mean thinking you're perfect, it means trusting your ability to grow. It's treating yourself kindly during progress, forgiving mistakes, and learning without shame. When you stop judging yourself harshly, you stop needing others to make you feel enough. The deeper your self-belief, the freer you become. You stop fearing failure because you know it doesn't define you. You stop craving reassurance because your worth feels stable. You stop hiding your opinions because you trust your judgment. That freedom lets you take risks, speak honestly, and live fully. People with this kind of confidence don't seek attention. Attention finds them. Building self-belief isn't a single decision. It's a lifelong practice. Every day brings situations that test your confidence. Some days you'll doubt yourself, and that's okay. Just don't let doubt take the wheel. Keep reinforcing belief through consistent action. Keep choosing authenticity over attention. Keep doing the right thing when no one is watching. Each moment strengthens your foundation. When you no longer need others to define you, you become unshakable. Approval comes and goes. Belief remains. You stop overreacting to criticism and overvaluing praise. You stay balanced through both. That's real strength, stability in a noisy world. Deep self-belief shifts your focus inward, not selfishly, but solidly and grounded. It teaches you to honor your voice, your rhythm, and your progress. You start trusting the process because you trust yourself. And once you reach that level of confidence, the world feels different. Not because it changed, but because you did. The goal isn't to stop caring about people's opinions entirely, it's to stop relying on them. You can appreciate support without needing it to survive. You can receive praise without chasing it. You can hear criticism without falling apart. That balance is what real confidence feels like: calm, steady, and quiet. In the end, the strongest approval you'll ever need is the one that comes from within. When you wake up, look in the mirror, and know you're living honestly, that's enough. When you can chase your dreams without constant reassurance, that's enough. When you can face failure with grace because your worth never wavered, that's enough. That's what it means to replace validation with deep self-belief, to finally stand in your own approval and know it's more than enough. Chapter 9. Create balance that protects your mental health.
There comes a moment when you realize that no level of success, money, or recognition can replace the cost of feeling mentally drained. You can only push yourself so far before your mind starts sending quiet signals, lingering fatigue, constant irritability, restless nights, or that empty feeling even after accomplishing something. These aren't signs of weakness, they're signals that balance is missing. Mental health isn't only about preventing breakdowns, it's about maintaining steady peace and inner strength. Creating balance that protects your mental health isn't selfish, it's survival. It's what allows you to keep showing up with energy, focus, and calm, not only for others, but for yourself. Balance begins with awareness. You must notice when your life tilts too far in one direction. Maybe all your energy goes to work with none left for rest. Maybe you spend all your time supporting others while ignoring your own needs. Or maybe you've become so focused on growth that you forgot to breathe. Balance doesn't happen accidentally, it's built intentionally, choice by choice, day by day. The world rewards speed, but the mind needs stillness. Constant motion without recovery leads to exhaustion, not achievement. When you slow down with intention, you give your mind space to reset. Clarity returns, ideas flow more easily, emotions settle, small problems stop feeling overwhelming. The healthiest people aren't those who do the most, they're the ones who know when to pause. One major reason people lose balance is guilt. They feel guilty resting, saying no, or choosing themselves.
They believe rest equals laziness and productivity equals worth. That belief destroys peace. You don't earn rest by burning yourself out. You deserve it because you're human. Caring for your mental health doesn't reduce ambition, it makes it sustainable. You can't give focus, creativity, or kindness from an exhausted mind. Creating balance begins with redefining success. If success only means achievement and ignores well-being, burnout is inevitable. Real success is progress that doesn't cost your peace. It's not how much you accomplish, but how you feel while doing it. It's knowing you can work hard without losing yourself. When you protect your mental health, your work improves. A calm mind makes wiser decisions. A rested brain solves problems faster. A balanced person performs with clarity, not chaos. Boundaries are essential to balance. Without them, everything demands your attention. Learn to say no to what drains you, even if it disappoints others. Learn to disconnect when the day ends. You're not a machine. You don't owe every hour to productivity. Set clear times for work, rest, connection, and solitude. Protect them as seriously as deadlines. Boundaries don't shrink your life, they give it structure and peace. A balanced life is created through small daily choices. Start with rituals that soothe your mind, morning routines that ground you, short walks that clear your thoughts, journaling that helps you process emotions, even a few quiet minutes before sleep. These moments seem small, but they anchor your mental state. They remind you life isn't only about tasks, it's also about presence. When your day includes care for yourself, your mind learns that it matters too. Balance also means managing your thoughts, not just your schedule. Many people drain themselves mentally without noticing it. They replay worries, overanalyze conversations, and carry work pressure long after the day ends. That kind of mental overload destroys peace. Train your mind to release what you can't control. Focus on what's right in front of you, not everything at once. When your attention is scattered everywhere, your peace disappears. When your focus is intentional, your energy becomes steady. The people you keep around also affect your mental balance. Negative, demanding, or draining relationships quietly wear you down. Protect your energy by spending time with people who bring calm, not chaos. Choose conversations that uplift instead of exhaust you. Balance isn't only about what you do, it's also about who you allow near your peace. Healthy relationships don't drain you, they restore you. Another part of balance is learning to disconnect from work mentally, not just physically. You can leave the workplace and still carry stress in your mind. That's why transitions matter. Small actions that tell your brain work is finished. It could be turning off notifications, changing clothes, or taking a short walk. These cues help your mind shift from performance mode into rest mode. Without them, your nervous system never resets and stress becomes constant background noise. Caring for your mental health also means being honest about how you feel. Too often, people pretend they're fine because they fear appearing weak, but silence only deepens stress. Speaking up, asking for help, or even admitting to yourself that you're struggling is strength, not failure. You don't have to fight everything alone. Support from trusted people or professionals restores balance faster than denial ever could. Sometimes balance requires difficult decisions. It may mean leaving environments that drain you, saying no to work that crosses your limits, or letting go of habits that feed anxiety. These choices feel uncomfortable at first, but peace always needs protection. You can't heal in the same space that hurts you. It's not about abandoning responsibility, it's about releasing what no longer supports your well-being. Your body and mind are connected. When one suffers, the other follows. Physical habits like sleep, movement, and nutrition directly affect mental clarity. Ignoring your body creates stress your mind must carry.
A rested body supports a calm mind. That's why balance means caring for both, not as luxury, but as necessity. A strong mind lives inside a cared-for body. It's easy to tell yourself things will improve when life slows down, but balance doesn't wait for perfect timing. It begins with boundaries. In the middle of chaos, you must create calm within the storm. Balance isn't something you find, it's something you build through daily discipline, choosing what truly matters over what simply demands attention. The most peaceful people aren't those with the least responsibility. They're the ones who manage their energy well. They don't give everything to everyone. They know when to push and when to pause. They understand balance doesn't mean equal time for everything. It means enough time for what keeps you whole. When your mental health is protected, your outlook shifts. You stop reacting to every stressor. You stop overthinking every detail. You respond with clarity instead of emotion. You become more patient, grounded, and aware. That balanced state becomes a shield. Life doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. Balance also teaches gratitude. When you slow down to breathe and reflect, you begin appreciating simple things again. Quiet mornings, meaningful conversations, moments of rest. Those experiences bring peace no amount of pressure can buy. They remind you that you're not here only to produce, you're here to live. There's no single formula for balance. It's personal. It evolves as your life evolves. Some days balance means more rest. Other days it means deeper focus. What matters is awareness, knowing what you need in the moment and allowing yourself to honor it. Protecting your mental health isn't about escaping responsibility. It's about creating harmony between what you give and what you keep. You can't keep trading peace for progress and expect fulfillment. Both must exist together. You're at your best when your mind is calm, your emotions steady, and your energy directed, not drained. If you ever forget why balance matters, remember this: your mind is your foundation. Everything you build rests on it. If it breaks, everything else loses meaning. Protect it before it demands your attention through exhaustion or collapse. A healthy mind creates a healthy life. In the end, building balance that protects your mental health is an act of respect. Respect for your body, your emotions, your limits in your life. It's choosing awareness over reaction, peace over chaos, and calm strength over burnout. The goal isn't to do everything, it's to remain whole while doing what truly matters. Chapter 10. Evolve daily until growth feels natural. Growth doesn't happen all at once. It's not a single moment or a sudden shift. It's a slow, steady evolution formed by small choices repeated daily. When you commit to evolving every day, you stop chasing transformation and start living it. Growth becomes less about changing overnight and more about creating a lifestyle that naturally draws you forward. The goal isn't to force improvement, it's to make growth your default state, something that happens as naturally as breathing. Each day offers a chance to evolve in some way. It could be learning a new idea, responding to a challenge better than before, or simply being a little more patient, focused, or kind. You don't need to move mountains daily, you just need to move yourself ahead. When that habit forms, growth stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity.
Many people struggle with growth because they expect fast, dramatic results. They begin strong, but quit when progress feels invisible. Real growth doesn't announce itself. It works quietly, shaping character and refining habits behind the scenes. The version of you a year from now is being created by the small, consistent choices you make today. Once you understand that, you stop waiting for breakthroughs and start valuing daily effort. To evolve daily, you must release perfection. Perfection slows growth because it traps you in fear of mistakes, but mistakes are part of evolution. Growth doesn't come from getting everything right. It comes from learning when things go wrong. Each failure followed by reflection expands awareness. Every setback builds resilience. Every challenge adds strength. That's what makes daily evolution powerful. It turns ordinary days into lessons. The process begins with awareness. You can't grow without knowing where you stand. Start asking yourself simple daily questions. What did I learn today? What can I improve tomorrow? What held me back? These reflections keep you conscious. They prevent drifting through life on autopilot. Awareness creates direction, and direction fuels growth. Evolution also demands patience. In a world that worships speed, patience feels outdated, yet it's essential. You can't rush maturity or mastery. Both require time. Small daily steps, reading a few pages, practicing a skill, staying disciplined may feel minor, but they compound into something meaningful. Growth isn't measured by intensity, it's measured by consistency. When you understand this, you stop comparing your pace and focus on staying steady. One key to natural growth is curiosity. Curious people evolve faster because they see every experience as a lesson. They ask questions instead of assuming. They remain open instead of resistant. Curiosity keeps the mind flexible and the heart humble. It reminds you that no matter how much you know, there's always more to learn. That mindset keeps evolution alive long after motivation fades. Daily evolution also requires adaptability. Life will continue to change, and you must change with it. Habits, beliefs, and methods that once worked may not support your next chapter. Holding on to them keeps you stuck. Growth requires renewal. It's updating your mindset the way you update your tools. When something no longer works, adjust without guilt. Adaptation isn't weakness, it's intelligence in motion. To evolve daily, you must stay connected to purpose. Without purpose, routines become repetition. Purpose gives meaning to effort. It reminds you why growth matters. You're not evolving to impress anyone, you're evolving to reach your potential. Discipline, discomfort, and learning become easier when tied to a deeper reason. Your environment also shapes how naturally you grow. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to think bigger, act braver, and live wiser. Growth becomes contagious in the right company. Their habits influence you. Their energy reminds you of your capacity. Staying in environments that resist change makes growth feel unnatural. Choose your circle intentionally. It shapes who you become. Evolution becomes effortless when you stop overthinking and start moving. Many people drain energy planning the perfect beginning instead of simply starting. You don't need every answer before you act. Clarity is created through action. Each step teaches you what works and what doesn't. The key is to keep momentum. Even small progress each day builds confidence, and confidence keeps growth alive. Another part of daily evolution is learning to appreciate progress without waiting for perfection. Too often people overlook improvement because they focus on how far they still need to go. But recognizing progress keeps motivation alive. Reflect on your wins, even the smallest ones. Each win proves you're not who you once were. That realization strengthens belief, and belief fuels continued growth. To make growth feel natural, you must make it enjoyable. Find ways to learn that excite you. Explore new experiences. Challenge yourself in areas that spark curiosity. Growth doesn't always need to feel heavy or serious. Sometimes it's about rediscovering joy in learning and progress. When growth feels meaningful and enjoyable, it becomes a lifestyle instead of a task. Evolving daily also means managing your energy. Some days you'll have the strength to take big steps. Other days you'll only manage small ones. That's okay.
Growth isn't about perfection, it's about direction. As long as you're facing forward, you're moving. What matters most is consistency. Showing up in some way every day, no matter how small. There will be seasons when growth feels uncomfortable. That's natural. When you evolve, you leave behind parts of yourself that no longer serve you. You may outgrow habits, relationships, or environments. It isn't easy, but it's necessary. The discomfort you feel is evidence that you're stretching past old limits. Instead of resisting it, learn to welcome it. It's a sign evolution is taking place. To keep growth natural, you must also protect your mindset. Growth can't survive in constant negativity. You can't evolve while telling yourself it's too late, too difficult, or pointless. Speak to yourself with encouragement. Trust that progress is possible even when it's slow. The words you choose shape the environment inside your mind. Make it supportive, not suffocating. Gratitude is another powerful force in evolution. When you appreciate where you are, you create a strong foundation. Growth rooted in gratitude feels light and fulfilling. Growth driven by comparison or insecurity feels heavy. Gratitude grounds evolution in joy, not desperation. It reminds you that you're already enough while still becoming more. One clear sign growth has become natural is when you stop forcing it. Improvement no longer feels like something you must do, it becomes something you are. You notice yourself making better choices automatically, thinking clearly, and handling life with calm. That's the result of daily evolution. Quiet strength built through steady practice. Natural growth also changes how you relate to time. You stop rushing. You understand transformation isn't a race, but a rhythm. Some days bring breakthroughs, others bring lessons, and both are equally valuable. When you align with that rhythm, progress feels peaceful. You no longer measure worth by speed, you measure it by depth. Evolution isn't about becoming someone else, it's about becoming more of who you truly are. Each day removes layers of fear, doubt, or habit hiding your potential. When you evolve daily, you're not fixing yourself, you're revealing yourself. Growth becomes a return to your natural state, confident, capable, and clear. If you remain consistent, you'll reach a point where growth feels automatic. You won't resist learning anymore. You'll welcome challenge as opportunity. You'll handle change with ease. That's when you know evolution has become part of you. It's no longer something you pursue, it's who you are. Life will continue testing that growth through challenges, setbacks, and unexpected changes. But when daily evolution is a habit, you'll meet it all with grace. You'll adapt, learn, and keep moving forward. Because once growth becomes natural, it never stops. It no longer depends on motivation or perfect conditions. It's woven into how you think, act, and live. Evolving daily until growth feels natural is the highest form of mastery. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's sustainable. It means you've reached awareness where change no longer needs force. You embody it. You live each day as proof that steady progress outperforms sudden perfection. That's how a life of purpose is built.